being here. Whenever you have a ribbon cutting, there's always something positive happening. You know, I was in local government for 17 years, and I cut a lot of ribbons. And Jim Ports, who worked with me, we were part of the delegation that we helped to bring a lot of infrastructure to our area. And that was before BRAC. You know, and if you look at where we are now, I always said there were a group of us who were working hard to try to. We were battling with Fort Monmouth. It was either Fort Monmouth or Aberdeen where the jobs were going to come. And then I said, this is going to be the easy part if we get BRAC to come. It's once it comes that we've really got the challenges. But I think that the challenges have been met. And I think one of the main reasons is because we have federal, state, and local relationships, and we have partnerships with the business community, with the Army Alliance, and with communities around here who looked at BRAC from a positive point of view. One of the themes that I felt very strongly about, and coming from local government, is that if you're going to have growth, you want to make sure you do not negatively impact on existing residential or business community. Now, you're going to have some impact, but you need a good plan. And then you also, when you have a lot of people coming here, they're going to be your new neighbors. You have to make sure that you do the basics, because you know you come to work every day, but each of you have a home, you have family, and you want what's best for your family and your quality of life. And I think that what's really happened here, and I give a lot of credit to the local government and your county executive, Jim Richardson here representing economic development, I think really have focused and worked well and have hired the right people to reach out and have open arms for the people who come from Fort Monmouth. Now, why are we here today? Well, we're here today to cut a ribbon, but also we're here to focus on transportation. Now, I go to work in Washington 3 weeks of every month. And we're in that district that other week, or I'll have to travel to Afghanistan or Iraq or places like that. But when I leave my home in the morning, it takes me 2.5 hours to go to Washington to work. 2.5 hours. And non-rush hour, 1 hour. And that's really kind of unacceptable, but that's the way it is. Who says that? That's the way it is. Army. And what we've done and what's happened is that we have so many people who work in our area, I think between Washington and Baltimore. I think Baltimore is rated region the 5th worst traffic situation in the country. And I think the region of Virginia, Washington, and Maryland, and around the Fort Meade area, is considered number 2 as far as traffic is concerned. So the good news for Aberdeen, which, and by the way, Fort Meade is also my district, for Aberdeen, is that we have more open space. We don't have the density as much, and we're planning ahead. And a lot of it has to do with planning, and it's intersections. You know, you talked about, you know, the difference, the roads, Karen, or Steve, who talked about what we're doing, some of the projects that are going on. And usually the way it happens in a lot of these projects is that people like myself get the money, it comes into the state puts in their money, and the state does the planning to put it together. So you see it's federal, state, and local coming together. What this transportation of this project's about is to make sure that we find a way to deal with the issue of transportation, whether it's getting more people in cars, whether it's using rail. By the way, we'd love people to use rail, but if you use rail, you better have an inexpensive place to park, and you better have a way when you get off the train on how to get to your job center. So these all come together. It's a science of transportation. Jim, I think you're coordinating a lot of that right now. That's what your job is. You're smart not to get back in politics. It's tough. But no, I still love my job. Yeah, right. That's the case. So I do. Now let me just, because I'm here and everybody's people. How many people work at Aberdeen? Raise your hand. I mean, a lot. Okay. Let me talk a little bit while we're here, and it has nothing to do with that. The sequestration issue. Sequestration is ridiculous. It's stupid, and it shouldn't happen. I think what happened is that you had the far left and the far right. They came together, they tried to negotiate, and they couldn't. So they put together the sequestration because they realized it's an automatic cut, which is the worst thing you can do, thinking it was so bad that it would never happen. Well, it's happened. Now, the problem with sequestration, too, with the media hype, is that the media, you felt that the day it started, that was the end of the world. And that is not the case. But each month gets worse and worse. It's going to be tough. And for me, someone who specializes, I'm the ranking member of the Intelligence Committee. And that job in national security is going to be very, very serious if these issues continue to go forward. Yesterday, our leadership in our committee, we met with the heads of all the intelligence agencies, the head of CIA, NSA, the Director of National Intelligence, General Clapper, and we all came together because sequestration is here, and we're still not sure what's going to happen. And what we're trying to do right now, at least from the military, national security point of view, that everyone will have to deal with certain cuts if we didn't have sequestration, because we can't continue to have the deficit we have, but we also have to find a way with revenue. But just to have an automatic cut across the board, that's like throwing the baby out with bathwater. You know, if you are a manager, you have a budget. Budgeting is about priorities, picking your priorities. And the priorities are very important to our national security. What the leadership in the military, the intelligence community, want the ability to manage it themselves. Right now, everything has to be cut. Every program, a certain percentage. We're trying to get the leadership in the House and the Senate and with the President to make sure that if there is some type of sequestration, it's going to be a priority issue. And how that relates to you is that we're concerned about the issue of furloughs, that type of thing. Now, the good news, again, for our area, is that we are considered to be the technology, well, the silicon's still there, but we are the BRAC center of the world right now, between what's happening at Port Meade and Aberdeen. And we have over 1,000 jobs that we need to fill right now between Port Meade, Aberdeen, and the defense contractors and what we do. And the future of our military, a lot of it is going to have to do with the cyber issue. So we're in a good position to stay where we are, to have jobs, and to continue to grow. That's why we're having a lot of these things that are happening. If you look at what's happening, though, in Congress, I think Congress, in the end, and I'm not happy about this, usually when it comes to a crisis, then they act. But at this point, you've got the far left and the far right. And I'm in leadership because I'm the ranking member of the Intelligence Committee. But I have no say. I can try to influence. You've got the White House, you've got the Senate and the House leadership, and those are the ones that are negotiating. And we're trying to make moves. Those of us who are more moderate, we're trying to find ways to give them examples. Just one of the big examples I just talked about was to try to make sure that if you're going to do cutting, then let your generals, let your admirals, let them pick on what we need our priorities are. And if that's the case, we should do okay here. So we're moving ahead with the process. I know the President, you've met Brett, has another strategy right now, a meeting with Republicans, and if we come together, it has to happen. Because I'm very concerned about our national security. China's aggressively cyber attacking us. China is going to the moon. We are the most powerful country in the world. China is building submarines to kind of counter what we are. We have to be concerned of Russia. We have to be concerned of the threat of a terrorist threat. We know Iran is serious. Iran's been cyber attacking our country right now. So there are a lot of issues that are there. The only thing I can tell you is that I'm doing everything in my power to try to make sure that we resolve this issue. But so far, we're not there. Hopefully, it will work out down the road. So I'm going to stop right now and just say this is good news here today. Let's take it with good news. We're going to keep focusing. This is a great place to work, a great place to live, a great place to raise a family. We've got the infrastructure in place, and we're going to make sure that Aberdeen is successful. It's the best technology center, I think, for any military base in the world. And it's going to keep growing. And Aberdeen is all about the people. Whether you're in the private sector, whether you're in the military, it's a great place to be. And I love being here and I love representing. So thanks for being here today.